Commander Vexthal stood on the bridge of his massive ship. His 4 eyes looked down at the small blue planet below. Earth was beautiful, but beauty meant nothing to him. He had come here to conquer, not to admire. The Zephyrian commander was tall and strong. His body was covered in hard crystal plates that shined like diamonds. His people had conquered 17 worlds before this one. Each victory had been easy. The Zephyrians were powerful warriors with weapons that could destroy entire cities. "Sir, we are ready to begin the attack," said one of his officers. The officer's voice was cold and mechanical, like all Zephyrians. Vexthal nodded. "Begin the bombardment. Show these humans what happens when they stand in our way." Far below on Earth, Colonel Jake Morrison sat in a dark room filled with computer screens. He worked at NORAD, a place where humans watched the sky for danger. The screens showed strange objects moving toward Earth. They were huge, bigger than any ship humans had ever built. Jake's hands shook as he picked up the red phone. "This is Colonel Morrison. We have unknown objects approaching Earth. They're massive, sir. I've never seen anything like them." A voice on the other end was calm, but worried. "How many, Colonel?" 50 ships, maybe more. They're slowing down. As they get closer. Sir, I think they're stopping." Jake watched the screens as the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They were dark and scary looking. Each ship was longer than 10 football fields. They moved slowly over the biggest cities on Earth. In Washington, D.C., President Helen Carter sat in the Oval Office. She was a strong woman who had led the country for 3 years. But nothing had prepared her for this moment. "Madam President," said her assistant, running into the room. "The ships are hovering over New York, Los Angeles, London, and Tokyo. They're just sitting there." Helen looked out the window. In the distance, she could see a dark shadow covering part of the sky. One of the alien ships was positioned over the capital city. "Get me the Secretary of Defense," she said, "and contact the other world leaders. We need to work together on this." On the alien ship above New York, Commander Vexthal studied reports about the humans. They were a young species, only recently discovering space travel. Their weapons were primitive. Their governments were divided and often fought each other. "These creatures will surrender quickly," Vexthal told his officers. "They have no unity, no strength. This will be our easiest conquest yet." But Vexthal was wrong about humans. He did not understand what made them special. The attack began at sunrise. Bright beams of energy shot down from the alien ships. The beams hit military bases first. Tanks melted like ice cream. Buildings turned to glass and dust. The aliens' weapons were beyond anything humans had imagined. Jake Morrison watched in horror as the base next to NORAD disappeared in a flash of light. The ground shook like an earthquake. Alarms screamed all around him. "Sir, they're targeting all military installations," shouted one of his men. "Our missiles can't penetrate their shields. Everything we shoot at them just bounces off." Jake grabbed his radio. "All units, this is NORAD. Use everything we have. Fire everything at those ships." Around the world, humans fought back with everything they had. Fighter jets launched missiles at the alien ships. Tanks fired their biggest guns. Naval ships shot their most powerful weapons. But nothing worked. The aliens had shields that stopped. Every attack. In New York City, people ran through the streets in panic. The alien ship above them was so big, blocked out the sun. Strange creatures in crystal armor began landing in the city. They were tall and moved like robots. Their weapons made no sound but destroyed everything they touched. Lisa Bennett was a scientist who worked at a university in the city. She watched from her office window as the aliens marched down the street. They moved in perfect formation, like a machine. Any human who got in their way was pushed aside or knocked down. "They're not here to talk," Lisa whispered to herself. "They're here to take over." The aliens called themselves the Zephyrians. They set up control centers in every major city. Their leader, Commander Vexthol, chose the ruins of the United Nations building as his headquarters. Within 6 hours, the major cities of Earth were under alien control. The Zephyrians had destroyed every military base they could find. Thousands of humans were dead. Millions more were hiding in their homes, afraid to come out. President Carter knew the situation was hopeless. Her military advisors told her the truth. Humans had no way to fight back. The aliens were too strong, too advanced. She made the hardest decision of her life. Standing in front of cameras that would broadcast to the world, she spoke with a heavy heart. "My fellow Americans and people of the world," she began, "we face an enemy we cannot defeat with our current weapons. To save innocent lives, I am announcing Earth's surrender to the Zephyrian forces." The words tasted bitter in her mouth, but she knew that continued fighting would only lead to more death. Commander Vexthol received the surrender message and smiled. It had been even easier than he expected. The humans had given up after just one day of fighting. "Prepare the occupation forces," he ordered his officers. "These humans will make good workers for our empire. Their planet has resources we need." As night fell on Earth, the alien ships remained in the sky like dark clouds. The Zephyrians had won, but they did not understand what they had really done. They had not just conquered a planet. They had awakened something in humanity that had been sleeping. In hidden places around the world, humans began to gather. They were angry, scared, and defeated. But they were not broken. The Zephyrians would soon learn that conquering Earth was the easy part. Keeping it would be much harder. The war was over, but the real fight was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the Zephyrians took over Earth. The world looked very different now. Where once there had been busy cities, now there were work camps and alien buildings. The sky was always dark because of the huge ships that never moved. Dr. Lisa Bennett stood in line with hundreds of other humans. They all wore the same gray clothes. Their heads were down, and their eyes were empty. The Zephyrians had broken their spirits. Lisa worked at a mining camp in Colorado. Every day, she and the other humans dug deep holes in the ground. They pulled out metals and crystals that the aliens needed for their ships. The work was hard and dangerous. Many humans got sick. Some died. "Move faster, human," growled a Zephyrian guard. The alien was twice as tall as Lisa. His crystal armor made him look like a monster. He carried a weapon that could kill with one shot. Lisa kept her head down and worked faster. She had learned not to fight back. The Zephyrians punished anyone who caused trouble. They would hurt 10 humans for everyone that disobeyed, but Lisa was different from the other humans. She was still thinking. While her hands dug in the dirt, her mind was working. She watched the aliens. She studied their technology. She was learning in New York City. Commander Vexthol sat in his new headquarters. The building had once been important to humans, but now it belonged to him. He looked out at the broken city and felt proud. "The humans are weak," he told his second-in-command. "They work hard, but never fight back." This planet was easier to conquer than any before it. His officer agreed. "Yes, sir. The other species we conquered put up more resistance. These humans gave up after one day." Vexthol was preparing to leave Earth. His job was done. He would leave a small group of Zephyrians to watch over the humans while he moved on to conquer the next world. "The humans have no warrior spirit," he said. "They are good for nothing but labor. Keep them working, and they will cause no trouble." But Vexthol was wrong. In the dark places where the aliens did not look, humans were starting to fight back. Captain Rick Sullivan hid in an old subway tunnel under New York City. He had been a soldier before the invasion. Now he was the leader of a small group of humans who refused to give up. "We need more weapons," said one of his men. "The ones we have don't work against their shields." Rick nodded. He knew the problem. Human weapons were useless against Zephyrian technology. But he also knew that every enemy had a weakness. They just had to find it. "We'll start small," Rick said. "We'll hit their supply trucks, take their food and equipment, make them know we're still here." His group was not the only one. All over the world, small groups of humans were forming. They called themselves the Resistance. They had no real weapons, but they had something the aliens did not understand. Hope Dr. Bennett had been watching the Zephyrian guards for months. She noticed that they all carried the same type of weapon. They all wore the same type of armor. Everything they used was powered by energy. One night, she snuck out of her sleeping area. She found a broken piece of Zephyrian equipment that had been thrown away. It was small, but it might hold answers. Bennett was a scientist. Before the invasion, she had studied energy and electricity. Now she used that knowledge to understand alien technology. The piece of equipment was damaged, but she could still see how it worked. "Energy," she whispered to herself. "Everything they have runs on energy." She began to form an idea. If the aliens' greatest strength was their energy technology, maybe that was also their weakness. Meanwhile, far out in space, something was watching Earth. The Zephyrian invasion had been seen by other alien species. They were curious about how the humans would respond. Admiral Kate Murphy floated in zero gravity on her ship. She was the leader of a small group of human ships that had escaped during the invasion. They had been hiding in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. "How long do we wait?" asked her second dash in dash command. Kate looked at the picture of Earth on her screen. Her home planet was covered in alien ships. Millions of humans were prisoners. But she knew that attacking now would be suicide. "We wait until we have a chance to win," she said. "One shot is all we'll get." Kate's ships were small compared to the Zephyrian fleet, but they were fast and hard to find. She had been studying the alien ships, learning their patterns. She was preparing for the right moment to strike. Back on Earth, the resistance was growing. Rick Sullivan's group had joined with other groups. They now had people in every major city. They used old radios and hidden messages to communicate. "The aliens are getting lazy," reported one of his spies. "They think we're defeated. They're not watching as carefully as before." Rick smiled. This was what he had been waiting for. The Zephyrians had made the mistake of underestimating humans. They thought that because humans had surrendered, they would stay defeated. But humans were not like other species. They did not stay down when they were knocked down. They got back up. They learned from their mistakes. They adapted. Dr. Bennett made her first successful test. She had built a small device from pieces of broken alien equipment. When she turned it on, it made a Zephyrian weapon stop working for a few seconds. "It works," she told herself. "I can disrupt their energy systems." She began to teach other humans how to build the same device. Soon, the Resistance would have a weapon that could fight back against the aliens. The Zephyrians did not know that they're easy. Conquest was about to become their biggest mistake. They had not broken humanity. They had only made it angry. Commander Vexthul prepared to leave Earth. He was confident that the humans would cause no trouble. He had no idea that in the tunnels beneath his feet, humans were planning their revenge. The occupation had lasted 6 months. The aliens thought they had won, but they were about to learn that conquering Earth was easy. Keeping it would be impossible. The real war was about to begin. The first attack came at dawn. Rick Sullivan and his team crept through the shadows toward a Zephyrian supply truck. They had been planning this raid for weeks. It was time to test Dr. Bennett's new weapon. "Remember," Rick whispered to his men, "we hit them fast and hard. Use the devices Lisa made. Then get out. The supply truck was guarded by 2 Zephyrian soldiers. They stood perfectly still, like statues. Their crystal armor shined in the morning light. They thought they were safe. Rick gave the signal. His team activated the small devices that Dr. Bennett had built. The air filled with a strange humming sound. Suddenly, the guards' weapons stopped working. Their armor went dark. Now! Rick shouted. The humans rushed forward. The Zephyrians were confused and slow without their technology. Rick's team knocked them down and tied them up. For the first time in 6 months, humans had defeated aliens in a fight. It worked, one of Rick's men said, breathing hard. We actually beat them. Rick smiled, but he knew this was just the beginning. They had won one small battle, but the war was far from over. The team took everything from the supply truck: food, equipment, and most importantly, alien communication devices. These devices might hold the key to understanding their enemy. Back at the underground hideout, Amy Rodriguez worked on the captured alien equipment. She had been a computer expert before the invasion. Now she used her skills to break into alien systems. This is incredible, Amy said as she studied the alien computer. Their technology is advanced, but it's not impossible to understand. She worked for hours, trying to decode the alien messages. Finally, she found something that made her gasp. Rick, you need to see this, she called out. Rick came over to look at the screen. Amy had translated some of the alien communications. What? He read shocked him. They're not the strongest species in the galaxy, Amy explained. The Zephyrians are actually considered weak by other aliens. They attacked Earth to prove they were strong enough to join something called the Galactic Federation. Rick read more of the messages. The aliens talked about humans like they were nothing. They called Earth a broken world full of cowards. They said humans were so weak that they surrendered after one day. The whole galaxy thinks we're cowards, Rick said. His voice filled with anger. Amy nodded. But there's more. The Federation is watching to see how we respond. If we keep acting like slaves, they'll never respect us. But if we fight back. Rick understood. This was about more than just defeating the Zephyrians. This was about proving to the entire galaxy that humans were not weak. In her mind, Dr. Bennett was making new discoveries every day. She had been studying pieces of alien technology that the guards had thrown away. Each piece taught her something new. The Zephyrians are not as advanced as they seem, she told a group of human workers. Their technology has weaknesses. We just need to find them. Bennett had discovered that Zephyrian energy shields worked on a specific frequency. If humans could create the right kind of electromagnetic pulse, they could shut down the shields completely. But her biggest discovery was about the aliens themselves. She had been watching the guards and noticed something strange. When certain types of radiation were present, the Zephyrians became weak and slow. Their crystal bodies are their strength, she explained to her secret group. But crystals can be shattered if you hit them the right way. Bennett began working on a new weapon. It would use radiation that was harmless to humans, but deadly to Zephyrians. She called it the Crystal Breaker. Commander Vexthul was starting to worry. His reports to the Galactic Federation were becoming embarrassing. The humans were supposed to be completely defeated, but they kept causing trouble. Sir, we've lost 3 more supply trucks this week, reported one of his officers. The humans are getting bolder. Vexthul slammed his fist on the table. Impossible. These creatures have no weapons that can hurt us. How are they doing this? We don't know, sir. Our weapons stop working when they attack. It's like they have some kind of new technology. This news made Vexthul very angry. He had told his superiors that humans were weak and stupid. Now they were making him look like a fool. Double the guards, he ordered. Punish any human who steps out of line. show them what happens when they resist. But increased punishment only made the humans more angry. More people joined the resistance every day. What had started as a few small groups was becoming an army. President Helen Carter had been hiding in an underground bunker since the invasion. She had been in contact with resistance groups around the world. Now she had important news to share. "There's something you need to know," she told Rick during a secret meeting. "We're not as alone as we thought." Carter explained that during the invasion, a small group of human ships had escaped into space. They were led by Admiral Kate Murphy and had been hiding in the asteroid belt. "They've been watching and waiting," Carter said. "Admiral Murphy has been studying the alien ships. She's preparing for a counterattack." This news filled Rick with hope. If they could coordinate with the space fleet, they might have a real chance of winning. "What do they need from us?" Rick asked. "A distraction," Carter replied. "If we can cause enough chaos on the ground, the aliens won't see the space attack coming." Rick nodded. He knew what this meant. The resistance would have to come out of hiding and fight openly. Many humans would die. But it was their only chance. Dr. Bennett finished her new weapon just in time. The crystal breaker was ready for testing. She had also figured out how to build better devices that could shut down alien shields. "We can win this," she told Rick. "But we need to work together. Every human on Earth needs to fight at the same time." Rick looked around at his fellow humans. They were tired, scared, and angry. But they were ready to fight. The Zephyrians had made a big mistake. They thought that defeating humans once meant they would stay defeated forever. But humans were different. They learned from their failures. They adapted. They grew stronger. The aliens had attacked Earth thinking it would be easy. Now they were about to learn why that was the biggest mistake they had ever made. The time for hiding was over. The real war was about to begin. The test of Dr. Bennett's crystal breaker weapon came sooner than expected. A group of Zephyrian soldiers was searching the tunnels where the resistance hid. They had found one of the secret entrances. "They're coming," whispered one of Rick's scouts, 6 soldiers, all armed. Rick looked at Dr. Bennett. Her new weapon was untested, but they had no choice. This was their chance to see if human science could beat alien technology. "Are you ready?" Rick asked her. Bennett nodded, though her hands were shaking. She had built the weapon from scraps and theory. She wasn't sure it would work, but she had to try. The Zephyrian soldiers entered the tunnel. Their crystal armor glowed. In the darkness, their weapons were charged and ready to kill. They moved slowly, searching for humans. "Now," Rick whispered. Bennett activated the crystal breaker. The device made a high-pitched whine that hurt human ears. But the effect on the Zephyrians was immediate and shocking. The aliens screamed and fell to their knees. Their crystal armor began to crack and break. Their weapons fell from their hands. Within seconds, all 6 soldiers were on the ground, unable to move. "It works," Bennett said, hardly believing it herself. "The radiation disrupts their crystal structure. They can't function." Rick's team moved quickly. They tied up the helpless aliens and took their weapons. For the first time, humans had not just defeated Zephyrians, they had captured them alive. "We need to study them," Bennett said. "If we can understand how their bodies work, we can make better weapons." The success of the crystal breaker test spread through the resistance network like wildfire. Humans around the world began building their own versions of the weapon. Hope returned to Earth for the first time in months. Commander Vexthil was furious. When he learned about the captured soldiers, he had sent his best warriors to investigate the tunnels. Now they were prisoners of the creatures they were supposed to be guarding. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These humans have no technology that can hurt us." "Sir, the reports are confusing," his officer replied. "The soldiers say their armor just stopped working. They felt weak and couldn't move. Vexthal studied. The reports, something was very wrong. The humans were not supposed to be able to fight back, yet they were becoming more dangerous every day. Send more soldiers, he ordered. Find these human hideouts and destroy them all. But sending more. Soldiers only gave the humans more targets to practice on. Each attack taught the resistance something new about fighting Zephyr INS. In space. Admiral Kate Murphy watched the alien ships through her telescope. She had been studying them for months, looking for weaknesses. Now she had found several. The Zephyrians are overconfident, she told her officers. They've left only a small force to guard their ships. Most of their fleet is spread out across the galaxy. Murphy's ships were small and fast. They could not win a direct battle with the alien fleet, but they could hit specific targets and cause maximum damage. We'll target their command ships first, she explained. Without leadership, the rest of their forces will be confused and easy to defeat. Her plan was risky. If it failed, the human space fleet would be destroyed. But Murphy knew they had to. Try. The people on Earth were counting on them. Back on Earth, President Carter emerged from her bunker for the first time in months. She had been coordinating with resistance groups around the world, preparing for the final battle. The time has come, she announced to the gathered resistance leaders. We're going to take back our planet. The plan was complex, but simple. Resistance groups in every major city would attack at the same time. They would use Dr. Bennett's weapons to disable alien defenses, and Admiral Murphy's fleet would attack from space. We only get one chance, Carter warned. If we fail, the Zephyrians will destroy us completely. Rick Sullivan looked around at his fellow humans. They were not professional soldiers. They were teachers, doctors, farmers, and factory workers. But they were ready to fight for their freedom. We've been slaves for too long, Rick said. It's time to show these aliens what humans can really do. Dr. Bennett had been working day and night to produce enough weapons for the attack. She had also made an important discovery about Zephyrian technology. Their shields and weapons all connect to a central power source, she explained. If we can find and destroy those power sources, all their technology will fail at once. This information changed everything. Instead of fighting each alien individually, humans could target their power systems and disable entire groups at once. The resistance began mapping alien installations, looking for power sources. They found that each city had a central power station that controlled all Zephyrian technology in the area. We hit the power stations first, Rick decided. Once their technology fails, we can capture the aliens without a fight. Amy Rodriguez had been monitoring alien communications. She discovered that the Zephyrians were planning to leave Earth soon. Commander Vexthal was embarrassed by the human resistance and wanted to move on to easier targets. They're going to abandon the planet, Amy reported. But first, they plan to kill all the humans so we can't cause trouble for future conquerors. This news made the final attack even more urgent. If the humans didn't act soon, they would all be dead. The night before the attack, Rick stood in the tunnel that had been his home for months. Around him, humans prepared their weapons and said goodbye to their families. Tomorrow, many of them would die. Are you scared? Dr. Bennett asked him. Rick nodded. Terrified. But I'm more afraid of what happens if we don't fight. Bennett understood. The humans had a choice. Fight and possibly die as free people, or live as slaves until the aliens decided to kill them anyway. The Zephyrians made a mistake, she said. They thought they could break us, but they only made us stronger. Rick smiled. Tomorrow, we show them what humans are really made of. Across the city, Commander Vexthal was making final preparations to leave Earth. He had no idea that beneath his feet, An army of humans was getting ready to attack. The aliens had conquered Earth easily, but keeping it was proving impossible. Soon, they would learn that humans were not like other species. Humans did not stay defeated. They fought back. The final battle was about to begin. The attack began at sunrise. All around the world, humans emerged from hiding places they had called home for months. They carried weapons built from alien scraps and powered by human determination. In New York City, Rick Sullivan led his team. Through the empty streets, the city was quiet, like a ghost town. Most humans were either dead or in work camps. But today, that would change. Target the power station first, Rick reminded his team. Once we shut down their technology, the aliens will be helpless. The Zephyrian power station was a tall crystal tower in the center of the city. It hummed with energy and was guarded by 12 alien soldiers. Rick's team had practiced this attack dozens of times. Dr. Bennett activated her crystal breaker device. The weapon sent out waves of radiation the human eyes could not see. But the effect on the Zephyrian guards was immediate. They screamed and fell to the ground as their crystal armor cracked and broke. "Move!" Rick shouted. His team rushed forward. They placed explosive charges around the base of the power tower. The charges were simple bombs made from human materials. But they would be enough. The tower exploded in a shower of crystal and light. Immediately, all the Zephyrian technology in the city shut down. Their weapons stopped working. Their ships fell from the sky. Their communication systems went silent. The same scene played out in cities around the world. London, Tokyo, Paris, Moscow. Everywhere humans had been enslaved, they struck back at the same time. The Zephyrians had never faced a coordinated attack like this. Commander Vextel was in his headquarters when the lights went out. Emergency alarms began screaming. His officers ran around in panic, trying to understand what was happening. "Sir, we're under attack," one of them shouted. "All our power stations are being destroyed." Vextel could not believe what he was hearing. The humans were supposed to be broken and defeated. How could they launch such a massive attack? "Impossible," he said. "These creatures have no weapons that can hurt us." But even as he spoke, the sounds of battle grew closer. Human voices could be heard in the streets outside. They were shouting with joy and anger as they fought back against their oppressors. In space, Admiral Kate Murphy watched the chaos on Earth through her ship's cameras. The alien ships above the planet were losing power and falling from the sky. It was time for the space attack to begin. "All ships, this is Admiral Murphy," she said into her radio. "Begin the assault. Target their command vessels first." Murphy's small fleet had been hiding in the asteroid belt for months. They had modified their ships with captured alien technology. Now they used that technology against its creators. The human ships moved fast and struck hard. The Zephyrians in space were not prepared for an attack. Most of their forces were on the ground, trying to deal with the human uprising. Murphy's flagship fired its main weapons at the largest alien ship. The beam cut through the enemy vessel like a knife through paper. The ship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from Earth. "Direct hit," shouted her weapons officer. "Their command ship is destroyed." One by one, the alien ships in orbit were destroyed or captured. The humans had turned the enemy's own technology against them. It was a complete victory. On Earth, Rick Sullivan fought his way through the streets toward the alien headquarters. His team had grown as other humans joined the fight. They were no longer a small resistance group. They were an army, the Zephyrian. Headquarters was in chaos. Alien soldiers ran around without orders, their weapons useless. Some tried to fight with their bare hands, but humans outnumbered them 100 to 1. Rick burst through the doors and found Commander Vextel in his office. The alien commander was tall and intimidating, but without his technology, He was just another creature that could be defeated. You, Vexthal said, his voice filled with shock. How did you primitive creatures do this? Rick walked slowly toward the alien. He had waited months for this moment. All the anger and hatred of the human race was focused on this one enemy. We're not primitive, Rick said. We're human, and you made a big mistake. Vexthal backed away, but there was nowhere to go. What mistake? We conquered your world easily. Rick smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. You attacked Earth. Now face the consequences. The alien commander tried to run, but Rick's team surrounded him. For the first time in his life, Vexthal felt fear. The humans he had thought were weak and cowardly were looking at him with eyes full of fire. You thought we would stay defeated, Rick continued. But humans don't work that way. We learn from our mistakes. We adapt. We grow stronger. Within hours, the battle was over. The Zephyrian invasion force was completely destroyed. Those aliens who survived were taken prisoner. Their technology was seized and studied. Dr. Bennett stood in the ruins of the alien headquarters, holding a piece of Zephyrian equipment. We can learn so much from this, she said. Their technology could advance human science by hundreds of years. President Carter emerged from her bunker to address the world. For the first time in months, she spoke from the White House instead of a hidden location. My fellow humans, she said, today we have proven that Earth will never be conquered. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will not bow to any enemy. The victory on Earth was just the beginning. News of the human triumph spread throughout the galaxy faster than light. Other alien species, who had dismissed humans as weak now, saw them in a new light. The Zephyrian Empire, humiliated by their defeat, began to collapse. Other conquered worlds saw what humans had done and started their own rebellions. The empire that had seemed so powerful was falling apart. Admiral Murphy's fleet, now armed with captured alien technology, began exploring the galaxy. They carried a message to every world they visited. Earth was no longer a target for conquest. Humanity would defend itself against any threat. Dr. Bennett led a team of scientists in studying the alien technology. Within months, humans had developed faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and defensive shields. The species that had once been primitive was now advanced, but the most important change was not in technology. It was in the human spirit. The invasion had united the people of Earth like never before. They had learned that when humans worked together, they could overcome any challenge. Rick Sullivan was promoted to general and put in charge of Earth's new defense forces. He made sure that humanity would never again be caught unprepared. We learned something important, he told his soldiers. It's not enough to be strong. You have to be willing to fight for what you believe in. The Zephyrians had thought they were conquering a weak world full of cowards. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity was now a force to be respected throughout the galaxy. Commander Vexthal, now a prisoner on Earth, was forced to watch as his former slaves became galactic leaders. He had made the biggest mistake in Zephyrian history. You should have left us alone, Rick told him during one of their meetings. We were happy to stay on our own planet. But you attacked Earth. Now face the consequences. The human race had learned that they were not alone in the universe, but they had also learned that they were strong enough to stand up to any enemy. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. Earth was free, and it would stay free forever.